Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ChaiNet, the agentic commerce podcast exploring how brands are building in an AI world. Most ready to eat Indian food tastes like compromise. You accept it because you're busy, not because you actually want it. Our today's guest saw this gap while working in Australia while doing his MBA. Between classes and shifts, he had no time to cook but couldn't stomach another meal that tasted like cafeteria food. He came back to India and built Foods, a freeze dried meal brand. No investors, no VC deck, just its own capital and a technology bet everyone else overlooked. 5 years later, his company has sold over 3 million meals across 6 different countries. They've built 127 products from dal makhani to gajar ka halwa, all rehydrating in 5 minutes with just hot water. They're competing against big brands and against retort packaging. And today we're talking about why the technology he's using, which is freeze drying, is the most underrated food tech in India. How to build a bootstrap D2C brand and reach crores in turnover while making unit economics work. Let's welcome Denil from Bowlful Foods. Denil, a
Hi
very warm
everyone.
welcome to ChaiNet.
Thank you, Rachit. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much. So, Denil, if you would please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hi, I'm Denil Dedhia, founder and director of Bowlful Foods. And this company I have started in since last 2018, so it's been 7 years now. And rightly said, between classes and the work I used to have, I didn't used to get time for all this stuff and heavily relying on ready to eat category. That's where it all started with.
So, Daniel, walk me through a bit more on the problems. Like when you were in Australia doing your MBA, how did this idea actually hit you? Like, what was your day like? What problems were you facing?
So like basically in Melbourne when I used to study and also I had two jobs there. So you can just imagine, there was no time to cook for myself. And secondly, I taught myself, I learned over here how to cook, but again going there and having busy schedule, I never used to get time to cook and have that kind of relaxing day coming through. So one day just walking through a supermarket, I saw a scheme going on this traditional retort Indian ethnic food category over there, and it said $1.99, and it was one-on-one free. So that was like a magic moment for me. Oh, okay, so such a cheap food, so I don't have to go with the hassle, and the restaurant food was around $10 to $15 per portion. So this can solve the problem immediately.
Right.
So I bought that food, went back to my place. It was a heat and eat solution that I had. So I tried that food, but honestly, my mind was not able to process what I was having at that time.
Right.
So it was just like I had to complete my meal, I had to fill my stomach, and I again had to run back. So that time I didn't give much thought about it. But while I
Hmm.
was traveling again to my work, it was just going on and on and on in my mind that why is this kind of food so bad in taste, and still the brand that I had the food with was a legacy brand and it's a renowned brand,
Right.
and there were absolutely no changes. So the one thought that stuck into my mind was, if people are eating this kind of food and they have no other options and still the market is growing for that food, or that demand is so high that you see that product available everywhere in the market,
Correct.
so there needs to be a really good tasty food. If in case we are able to crack that stuff, then 100% we would be able to achieve a really big market out of it. So that was the initial thoughts that went on and on and on. And to be
Right.
honest, I was not able to sleep that night because uh, I have a legacy. My father, my family belongs to restaurant industry, so like basically food industry. And as you know, I'm from Surat.
Right.
So Surat's food is the only thing that we are here to relish on. There is
Right.
no other entertainment except food in Surat. So we know taste in and out. So I was just thinking about the same stuff, that what kind of technology or something that can help me out convert this product or food into a shelf stable food for a longer period of time, and that should be tasty. That was the only goal.
Hmm.
I was not aware about anything into technology or food preservation, nothing. But just one thought, that I want to serve better food to consumers. Business will automatically come behind.
Right. And then how many years did you from that idea, like was it like an aha moment and you said that okay, let's go down and let's go back to India and start it, or was it, did the thought grow and it was a messy
So
start?
the aha moment, I will say, was not there because it was just a thought initially given for like,
Right,
how do I solve this problem? I was not aware about anything, but yeah, when I came back to India, that was in 2018.
right,
I started researching on various different technologies like frozen, then we have retort, then we have dehydration, then we have freeze dry. So while I was exploring the all other ways, and we already had thought and made up our mind to go towards frozen because that was the only category that we felt was able to give us really good and fresh taste kind of food. But the logistics and the supply chain has a really big issue with that stuff.
right,
But then suddenly I was googling around, like, what other kind of technologies are available that can be
right,
having without preservations. We can have really taste and fresh food coming around. So that type I just saw about freeze drying. Then I started researching onto that. I saw what kind of facilities are available in the market right now, so I can at least have my hands on. I can gain better knowledge for that stuff. And yeah, that when I started my first pilot project over there, my first lot, I would say, or first batch,
right.
when that came out, and it was made so quickly, easily, and the taste was as good as when it was cooked fresh, that time it was the aha moment for me, that
Hmm,
now I have cracked something that it's gonna sustain for a very long time, it's gonna have a better shelf life, and it almost tastes 99% towards that particular stuff what we have cooked. So
hmm,
basically, I would just say that if in case we serve this food to anyone who is not aware that it is coming from a packaged food, they won't believe that it is coming from a packaged food. They'll
right.
straight away believe that it is coming from kitchen made fresh.
Nice, amazing. I honestly did not know much about freeze drying food. It was only when we spoke and you told me, and then I went and did my background research, and I kind of understood that okay, how is it different? But for everyone over here today, I think most people would think that freeze drying food is just like dehydrated food, right? But break it down for me. What is freeze drying, and you know how is it different, and why does it matter?
So basically, I'll tell you in a very layman language that when we cook food as we do into our houses, there is
Mm-hmm.
no preservatives added. It is just basic food that we cook.
Right.
Once the food cook is ready, we freeze that as we do in the frozen food as well. We have the blast freezers that chill that product at minus 40 degrees as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Then that product is placed into a vacuum chamber in which we start the dehydration process. But now this dehydration process is different from the dehydration that actually is right now there in the market.
Right.
So what happens is when we put this stuff into vacuum drying, the boiling point of the vacuum chamber comes very rapidly at a very
Okay.
low temperature. So what happens is that ice crystals formed on the product when it was frozen before straight away sublimates into gas, that is into vapor. It takes out all the moisture from the food, and the remaining part, that is just the powder form of the food. For example, if we have dal fry, so we put in dal fry, we freeze that stuff, we put it into vacuum chamber. The process takes up to 12 hours, and once that is coming out, it is all into powder form. So now we just have to calculate that how much water has been reduced when we actually loaded that stuff.
Hmm.
The difference is the balance that we need to add again as water to get the same texture, smell, aroma, texture, taste, and color of the product.
Amazing. And you don't have to add any preservatives, anything else at all. It's like home cooked food and then directly.
Yes. So now what basically happens is why we don't need to add preservatives, because a lot of people has this kind of questions coming through on the internet as well,
Right.
that without preservatives how is it possible to give the shelf life of the product up to 12 months. So basically, to any product in the market, any food in the market, if in case it is not having a good shelf life, that is because of the moisture that the product contains into it.
Got it.
Any microbial growth in the product, in the food, is the only reason the food gets stale after a point, or it is
Right.
not shelf stable. So now what happens is basically in any category of food where there is moisture, there is a growth of microbial into it for sure. It might be slow, it might be fast, depending on the product size and product packaging and what kind of ingredients has been used into it.
Right.
Into freeze drying, when we remove 95% of the moisture from the food, So now there is absolutely no water into it. So there is no H2O, or for any microbial life to grow on food, they at least require is oxygen.
Hmm.
So now there is no more oxygen in the food itself, and the
Right.
product has been dried out. Plus, for the additional security or for the additional purposes, what we use is we put a small oxygen absorber sachet in all the packs. So when we seal the packs, there is still a little bit air into it.
Right.
So that has also been taken out. So now absolutely no oxygen means absolutely no microbial growth to be done after this point. That's how the freeze-dried products get a shelf life of 12 months.
Without any preservatives, without anything.
Yes, without any preservatives.
That's very interesting. How have you managed to convince the consumer that you have to like for paying more for the products?
So basically what happens, Rajit, over here is I know that India is very price sensitive market,
Yes,
to be honest. Anyone, any category, any brand that is working in the market wants to catch the mass market by reducing the
absolutely.
price to the lowest or the bottomest as possible. But also there are consumers in India that are also value driven. It is not only price that works for them, but
Right.
now let's assume this way. Why people get convinced to pay more when they are having other options available? First thing that comes into the mind is for this category specific, the use of this product or this category is when people are traveling abroad or somewhere or
Hmm.
the other.
Right.
Basically, that time the people are using this kind of products. In
Of
which,
course.
again, when they compare the product pricing, they don't compare it with what price is other brands on the shelf that is serving this purpose, or what
Right.
is Bowlful looking around like. What they compare it is like where they are traveling, how much dollars they have to pay there, and how much reasonable it is right now for me to
Hmm.
buy this product.
Right.
So 50 rupees difference whenever they convert, let's assume with US dollars, it would be
Correct.
merely like 50 cents.
Right.
So they don't budge around talking about why is this product so costly or something or the other. So that's one challenge that we have not faced yet.
Oh wow. That's
And
very
never we have
interesting.
got feedback onto that stuff, why the product is so costly.
That's that's a very interesting insight because as you said, like I always think that the Indian consumer is always very price sensitive. But you're right. Like if you're targeting to the right consumer, then your price will satisfy. Now you have to make sure that your target market is very clearly defined and you are clear in your head that okay, this is my target market. So in the last 5 years, Denil, how has your revenue growth been? What did you start? Like I'm sure, like since you did not raise funding, you must have put your own capital. So how much did you start with, and how has it gone in the last 5 years? If you could give some insights
So
on that.
basically, when we started with merely 75,000, to be
Wow.
honest. And that just helped me into my packaging and a little
Right.
bit of transportation expenses that we used to bear, or my personal traveling expenses.
Correct.
But as I told you, we had a restaurant background already. So
Right.
I just told my father that whatever products that I'm making from this kitchen right now for my trial batch and purposes, please make sure that you note down all the stuff. And
Hmm.
today or tomorrow, when I will be opening my company, I'll repay you all these amounts back.
Wow. Right.
So that was one benefit that I clearly had
Yes.
beforehand. So I didn't have to invest much capital. That was the major chunk that just went away for me.
Correct.
But when we started in June 2018. And to be honest, the first 1.5 years, I'll still say it was 80% still R&D going on, though we were ready with 13 to 15 SKUs.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more of the R&D purposes still was going on. And we also launched in the market with those SKUs which were ready.
Right.
First year in 2018, we closed somewhere around 13.5 lakh rupees. And that
Wow.
was majorly coming from the retail market from Mumbai. We didn't
Okay.
even started with website. Yeah, we started making website after that point when we just started gaining profits and traction from the market.
Right.
But yeah, that was my first year. Second year, we jumped on to almost around 36 lakh. Then
Right.
we went to 57 lakh. Then we went to 2 crores. And by then, we have just grown and grown and grown. And today we are sitting at, we would be closing this year at around 9 crores.
Wow. That's amazing. Congratulations on that. That's starting with 75,000 and reaching a 9 crore revenue is for sure a feat. A lot of people start with much more and get stuck at much less. So that's amazing. And for while you're growing, right? I'm sure you would be when you're small, then the big brands would not care. But yeah, as you're growing, you're probably starting eating into the bigger brands' shares, right? And they have war chests of capital. You don't have time or money on your side. So what's your strategy to win, you know, either shelf space or mind share against these other giant brands who have more money and better distribution?
So see, when we talk about giant brands coming in the picture, giant brands majorly focus on the width of the market.
Right.
When else what we are focusing on is the depth of the market, that the product category which we have. For giant people, there are n number of categories, and this would be one of the category that they are overlooking right now.
Hmm.
But for me, this is the whole company. So
Correct.
what we do is something that giant brands are not yet considering because it is not the product fit for the mass market yet.
Hmm.
So that's
Right.
the one major difference. Secondly, when we talk about the mindset of getting the shelf space, that is majorly, as I told you, that that the first retailer that we had, we always try to make sure that first we just give the samples or have a workshop done into that particular retail store,
Okay.
get the confidence of the consumers or the retailers,
Right.
and also by doing the same stuff with the consumers that are walking in walking out.
Right.
Once the retailer feels confident about the consumer's feedback that is coming through, the shelf space are automatically made for us.
But you're more
Today,
focused on like general trade?
yeah, currently our major focus is on general trade. We have now just started moving towards the modern trade,
Right.
in which we have already couple of modern trade listed. We have one more coming up next week. So now we are moving towards the modern trade because till now we have just focused on general trade. That was majorly because in modern trade when we go, so there is no one to talk about your product. Everything that has to
Hmm.
be taken care of would be your product itself that has to speak for itself.
Right. And maybe a lot of marketing dollars, right? Which you might
Yeah,
want to
a lot
spend,
of
right?
listing fees coming through, a lot of placement fees, plus the NCAP fees, plus the margins that are heavier, plus the
Right.
return policy what they want. On the top of that, the payments are delayed, and plus after all this of even if in case we accept all this stuff, what happens is that they want promotion activities to be going on. They just give you a validity for 6 months. If the product is not flying off the shelf, they'll just chop off the SKUs or they'll just
Right.
unbrand you. So all the investment, all the efforts is wasted. But
Correct.
now what we have is we have really good consumer base. The word of mouth is spreading very quickly for Bowlful. And now we are sure that the territories which we are already into, we'll start with the modern trade on that particular territories where the product is been already justified, the product fit has been justified, and people are demanding this product now.
Right. I love you're literally moving very smartly, slowly, very smartly, and in a very in a very capital aware way. And with that, selling 3 million units across 5 other countries apart from India, so 6 countries, starting with 75,000. That's really amazing. And so if you talk about unit economics, like how, like let's say there's a 170 rupee product and you're shipping it internationally to 5 countries, and of course your manufacturing would, from what I understand, would be higher than your everyday brands, right? So how do your unit economics work? How are you growing?
So basically, when we talk about 170 MRP, roughly nearby 30 to 35% goes to the supply chain itself, as we talk about retailers, distributors, super stockists coming in the channel. Similarly, we have modern trade that sits at around 35%. That has been
Right.
directly taken care by manufacturing unit itself. There is no supply chain over there.
Correct.
Plus, there would be roughly around the COGS would be sitting at nearby 50 to 55%. And rest of the part that is being taken care by us, that is the margin that we have. In between that also, we have to make sure that there is fixed 5 to 6% that always goes for promotional activities.
Correct. Absolutely.
Because without those promotional activities, the product is not going to fly off the shelf.
Yes.
So
These
that is
promotional
how
activities are
the
like
unit
mostly
economics work.
tastings in retail shops.
So yeah, in that also we again have a very strategic move, to be honest. What we do is we place our promoters everywhere wherever it is required, and specifically for the new shops or the new retailers or the new modern trade that we open. But what we do is we don't have that chaos of having the sampling done on the what we technically say over here is wet sampling. We don't do that
Right.
wet sampling part. The promoters try to educate the consumers when they are looking around for this kind of products, and they just educate you how this is different from the other brands sitting on the shelf.
Right.
Plus, if in case the consumer is still skeptical around that should I buy, should I not buy, we clearly offer them, if you want, we can give you a sample right now itself from the SKUs that are sitting on the shelf. You tell me which product you want to try. We'll go in the pantry, we'll make it one for you. It will hardly take 5 minutes, and you will get to taste that sample. Because why we do this? Two reasons. First
Mm-hmm.
is that we don't spend a lot behind this wet sampling or free sampling to everyone, because might be the footfall be really good for this kind of for the particular retailer outlet that we would be into.
Right.
But what happens is today's people forget brands very quickly because there are n number of brands to
Yes.
remember to. So now for a use case, if in case someone is trying my product today, they felt aha, this is really good, but now when they actually are traveling, let's assume that way, now they are not able to remember that brand. Oh, which was that brand? We had some tasting, it was really
Mm.
amazing. What was it?
Correct.
I'm not able to recall. Blah blah blah. So now what I'm doing is I'm spending amount on those people who are not actually my customers, rather than those customers who are coming into that aisle and specifically looking for ready to eat. If they want to have a sample before buying that stuff, I make sure that I don't miss those guys.
Mm. Correct.
So it
Right.
saves my cost and also it satisfies my customers.
Very, very good strategies, Denil. These are, when you think of it, these are very intuitive. But for a founder to actually come with these strategies and say that, "Acha, we won't do wet sampling, right? We won't have a kiosk." Those are so every yes, there are at least 50 no's, right? Behind every yes that okay, we'll do this, there are 50 no's. And to agree, like to have those 50 no's, that is, I think that you've conquered really well, and you've actually made a point to decide that okay, this we are not doing. This is the thing which we're doing. Love your strategic thinking, honestly. And on your LinkedIn, you actually mentioned that you were shortlisted for Shark Tank India. So can you give us like what was the process like, and why didn't you end up going through with it?
So basically, I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. I wouldn't say Shark Tank India specifically, but yeah, overall, I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. Even like the Dragon's Den that is being played on Australia news channel ABC and all that stuff. Yeah, so that's what keeps me motivated, to be honest, and find different ways, different solutions to all the problems that every founder has faced with some or the other kind of markets or products. When I got the news that Shark Tank is happening in India also, I applied for the season one. At that time, no one was aware about Shark Tank India, and very few people were also like, what is Shark Tank? In that case, even my
Right.
family was not aware about this stuff.
Correct.
So I applied there. The selection process happens. It was like four stages coming around. That first was the basic detail form that you have to fill in. Second is the elongated version of that form that
Right.
we have to fill. That is like around 8 to 10 pages, if I'm not wrong now. Third phase is where you have to make a video of yourself pitching to the investors.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth stage is the audition round. If you get selected by all these processes, the fifth stage, that is the final stage that we say that you directly go or live to the Shark Tank.
Right.
So I applied there. We had all these four stages done. On the fourth stage, when the audition round was completed, we just were curious to know that, how do we get back to this stuff? Like, how do we know
Right.
that if you are selected ahead or not? So I just asked those hosts over there that what would be the process further be like, and they said like particular time frame. If I'm not wrong, it was like December. By December, if you're not getting any reward back from us, so just assume that you are not selected. So I was like,
Okay.
won't I be getting any feedback? So at least
Right.
I can progress myself for the next year, then I can apply again.
Correct.
They said, no, we do not have that policy. So basically, please understand that we are not here to sit and give feedback to all the directors or all the co-founders and founders. Then again, they fight back with us. So this is the normal routine process that we follow. And in that case, I was not selected. I'm still not able to figure it out, like, why we were not selected.
Right.
Because from day one, it is a bootstrap company. It is profitable. It is
Right.
growing slowly. I would say surely it is slowly, because as I told you that no VC funding and we are not burning money just
Correct.
to promote the product. Yeah, so we are growing year on year. But still, why it is not happening, I am not sure.
Hmm.
Second season, I again tried one more time, but it didn't accept my application. It showed like, you have already applied, you have not been selected. So it was not allowing me to go further. Third year, I absolutely forgot. I was drenched into work. And when the season came in and went out, I was not sure about.
Hmm.
Fourth season, when I applied, I was quite too late to apply at that time. And again, I was not shortlisted. Fifth season, again, we were shortlisted. Again, the same process happened. We reached till the final audition round. And again, they told us to wait till December. And again, this December just passed away, and we have not got any.
Yeah, right. So, as a D2C brand founder, doing 9 crore revenue, how do you think AI has impacted your life in the last 2 years?
To be honest, while ChatGPT was launched, I was very much intrigued by the way it was working, and I
Right.
was way too curious to, just put my hands onto that. Once that app was launched for iPhone, I quickly downloaded that. I might be the first one into my entire group that I still know that no one, everyone was using it for, just some quick time pass around stuff.
Right.
But I took that membership around. I paid that 14.99 per month,
Right.
and I just wanted to make sure that how I can use this stuff into my business and my day-to-day activities.
Correct.
Today, after this 2 year span, I'm not anymore. I don't write emails for sure. I just quickly just have my briefing done on ChatGPT, and I just give them a draft story about it, and then they just do all that mailing part for me.
Right.
My marketing strategies, my product pictures, some few new ideas, my whole business, I would say, ChatGPT today for Bowlful knows each and everything. If in case I
Hmm.
just type what exactly I am looking forward for into
Right.
my business, it will give me an entire clear picture and a pathway
Hmm.
that what has to be happened next. It has also helped me negotiate with really big people.
Wow.
When we talk about modern trade, right? We just had a couple of days ago, we had a call with Zepto as well,
Right.
and the policies and the terms and conditions that they had coming up for us. I just mentioned that same stuff to AI again. That this is the challenges, this is the terms and conditions that these people are keeping to us. So what should be my strategy next? Though I have few
Right.
points into my mind as well, because currently we see the scenario lively, but still
Correct.
the recommendation that we get from them will just enhance one or two parts more towards your thing.
Yes. Yes, of
So
course.
that's how we use AI. Plus, into my website, we have this section of my WhatsApp where you just talk to an agent and AI would be talking to you.
So
It will help
interesting.
you around how to take the order,
Right.
everything, the order process till the
Hmm.
completion of the order and the checkout process. Everything would be taken care by that AI on WhatsApp itself.
Oh, that's amazing. And if you don't mind, what tools do you use for WhatsApp automation?
WhatsApp automation, we currently have two stuff, business on bot and AI Sensi.
Okay.
These are the two verticals that we use. It depends on, like, if in case sometimes that we don't have a lot of things to broadcast for that particular per month,
Mm-hmm.
then we shift AI Sensi because it is quite cheaper. But when we know that we now need to see all the metrics and we just need to push more budget towards WhatsApp,
Right.
that time to BOB, because that gives you more detailed insights from the WhatsApp.
It's very interesting. What I've been hearing is that AI Sense is pretty hard to configure and like very, very difficult to actually work with. Is that the fact, or you don't feel so?
Yes, because AI Sensi basically is giving you really less data or insights, to
Hmm.
be honest, whereas there are line chat and there is
Correct.
business on board that gives you really good insight.
Hmm.
Basically, they can take care of Instagram messaging, they can take care of your email marketing, they can take care of your WhatsApp marketing,
Hmm.
plus the shopping pipeline, which the funnel they have.
Correct.
Everything is being taken care by them. But When we talk about the cost reduction coming through, when we are not focusing on WhatsApp, that time AI Sense is the best option because
Hmm.
it reduces your cost drastically down. I would say somewhere nearby 39% down
Oh
from business
wow.
on.
Wow. That's solid. That's solid advice. That yeah, for founders who are not so focused on WhatsApp, the SNC might be a better tool to work with. That's amazing. So for founders who are trying to bootstrap their own D2C brand, what would be your one advice?
So anyone who is trying to have D2C brand around, make sure two things. First, be persistent enough and patient enough because things won't change overnight.
Hmm.
We have been doing marketing into our website, D2C, Amazon, Flipkart. Nothing worked for us at the initial stage, but then we just
Right.
had a thought that if we are spending money on their platforms, why not to spend money onto our own platforms and to boost our own website where we don't have to pay any kind of commissions in between.
Right.
So then we just had this thought into mind. For almost 3 years consistently, we didn't pay anything. We didn't spend any money on ad spends on Amazon, Flipkart, nothing. We were just spending each and every money for our own website.
Hmm.
But the numbers grew. It was not something like when we started pushing the like we started pouring the money in and the sales were coming out.
Right.
But things started getting organized. Today, my website would be somewhere nearby 30% of my revenues
Wow.
coming from.
That's
It
amazing.
has grown really good. We are having 30% retention rate coming through. But all this stuff, when we talk around right now, it looks really fancy. Someone who is going to start with a bootstrap or D2C brand, they will all fancy about all this stuff. कब मैं यहाँ पहुंच जाऊंगा, कब मेरा हो जाएगा. But it doesn't work that way. It has to be slow and gradual itself
Hmm.
because once we start pouring in more money, the sales would be coming for sure, but you won't be making money onto it.
Hmm.
You'll lose money. You start burning money. So if in case you are ready for that stuff and you have VC funding, you are funded well, you can do that stuff. That is also a good strategy for what we say is blitz feeding.
Right.
If I'm not wrong, if I'm correct, if I'm just speaking that right. So that is one way to do it. But if in case you are bootstrapped, make sure every penny counts really well. Second point that I would just advise anyone who is gonna do some kind of D2C, please have healthy margins. Don't go
Hmm.
and fight with people in the industry that are having or working in. Every product has its own consumer fit as well. So don't go on to that thoughts. How can I discount this product more and more and more? Because once you start doing that, you cannot go upwards. You'll only go downwards.
Right.
But at end point, you'll bleed a lot, which
Hmm.
won't be recoverable. So make sure you have really good healthy margins whenever you start any kind of D2C because you don't know what expenses would be coming up next or what strategy you might be turning next to.
Correct.
So if you
Correct.
don't have healthy margins, you won't make money.
Hmm. Yeah. Those are very knowledgeable and very helpful advice. Thank you so much for that. Conversation has been so interesting that I just kept going on. The last final question for today: if someone's building a food brand, right? What do you think someone does not tell you until you're actually way deep in it? And something that surprised you while you were building Bowlful.
So anyone who's building a food brand, please make sure you get your hands into the market, into the product, into each and everything as much as possible because
Hmm.
there are n number of rules and regulations that we need to follow while having food because it is gonna go into the consumers health. It is going to be a healthy
Right.
product or it is going to play with the health of a consumer. So please make sure that everything is been tick marked, everything has been corrected. Whatever FSI norms tell us to do, we follow that deeply downly, heartily, not just for the sake of doing it.
Right.
Secondly, whenever you develop products, just don't rely on people's mindset or consultants' advices. Please make sure that you yourself take care about that stuff
Hmm.
because there are n number of ingredients that we have to play with.
Right.
Plus, there are n number of rules for packaging, for weight, for everything, for each and everything. One example I'll just give you is that we had been okay with our packaging since last 4 years.
Right.
Last year, we came to know there is one more body in the government that is called NAP.
Mm-hmm.
We were not aware about that stuff. We were like, we
Okay.
are completing all the FSI rules and we are having everything done. All the norms are being completed, so we are good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Metrology was taken care of for the packaging part. But this naptol we were not aware about. And what
Okay.
happens is one day, one particular stuff in a retail outlet, there was one naptol officer that went through and he saw Bowlful and he saw a couple of, very few silly mistakes that were not there into our packaging yet. Something like, there was customer care email ID, but there was not a customer care number over there.
Okay.
Just because of this one mistake, we
Hmm.
had to pay lakh of rupees for the penalties that
God.
came through.
Right.
We tried to convince him that it is
Hmm.
just a mere mistake. We'll just try to rectify it as quickly as possible. But
Hmm.
some rules are not going to change for us, and
Hmm.
some rules are going to be there. So please
Right.
be aware about all those rules and regulations before you put or jump your hands or you jump down your brand into retail market,
Right.
because it's gonna go bad for you and you might not be prepared when this kind of things can happen to you.
Correct. Correct. Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniel. It's been amazing hosting you. We've been talking for 55 minutes. I think this has been my longest podcast session till now. But thank you for the spirit and thank you for the honesty and helping our viewers understand the deep what goes in the industry. For all our viewers, that was Denil Dedhia. He's the founder and CEO of Bowlful Foods. He's building India's first freeze-dried meat brand and proving that the best technology is often that is overlooked by the industry. And talking about a bit about his story, Denil did not just start a ready-to-eat food company. He made technology bet that requires harder manufacturing, higher costs, and consumer education. And that's exactly why Bowlful Foods has worked out. Traditional brands have scale and distribution, and I think Denil has strategy. Thank you, Denil, for all our founders. If you're building a D2C brand in India, please watch what Bowlful does next. They're not following the playbook. They're actually literally writing another one. Thanks for listening to ChaiNet and find us wherever you get your podcasts and on LinkedIn Live. Thank you, Daniel, once more. Thank you, our listeners, for tuning in.
My pleasure, Rachit, and thanks for having me over.
It is my pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye bye.